Oh, no.
We'll call this meeting to order and let the record show that all board members are present. Superintendent, our attorney will be joining us in just a little while. Would you please stand for prayer and pledge? Heavenly Father, we thank you for the day and the privilege, the opportunities that you have given each of us. And this evening, as we come together, Lord, to take care of the affairs of our community, of this school district, we pray that you would give us wisdom and understanding to do the things that would be the very best. Lord, first of all, pleasing to you and for the very best for our students, for our parents, and for our community. We pray for the needs that we have around us this evening, and we just pray for your kindness and compassion and mercy in our time of need. But again, we thank you for the privilege that we have to meet and to governor, and we just pray your blessings upon this time tonight. And we ask this in your name, dear Jesus. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's time for us to approve adopt the agenda. And before we do, there are a few things that we need to, first of all, we need to add on 12.02, Scott Grambling to the sub list. That's 12.02. And then also we need to pull, because these are consent items, and so we need to pull 8.01, number 3, for discussion, and 9.02, number 1, for discussion. And with that, if the board is okay with that and approves this, I also would like to ask that after we have when we get through with the items of interest by the public, that we go ahead and take care of 9.02, number 1, because of some time restraints, if that's okay with the board. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what's the care of the board?
It'll be fine.
All right,
Motion.
Ms. Carlton makes the motion.
Second.
Ms. Mathis seconds it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, so carried. Approval of our last minutes, April the 6th, legal meeting, regular school board meeting. All right, Ms. Agner makes the motion that we accept it. Ms. Carlton seconds that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. Brings us down to our presentations, and Dr. Glover.
You want to
9.02.
go ahead and let?
No, we'll take care of the questioning of the Boys and Girls Club after we get through with the items of interest to the public. We'll go ahead through everything else.
Sure thing. As promised a couple of weeks ago, this is the rest of the information, the rest of the story. And hopefully this will work. If not, I may have to get Miss Shanna to help me. This is the data to back up the need. As we said, it's working tonight. Isn't that great? Second slide is just a data pull at the end of the third 9 weeks, which ended in mid-March, right before spring break. You can take a look at our student count by site. You can take a look at our average daily attendance. And chronic absentees, these are students that are missing 10% or more of instruction. You can take a look at that count. Third 9 weeks, we had 970 kids that missed 10% of instruction. It's been that way all year. The pandemic has just compounded absenteeism. We already had trouble with maintaining a good average daily attendance. So if you're not there, you can't learn. Then we went on to pull third 9 weeks failing grades. And I learned how to manage focus a little better, and pulled third 9 weeks failing grades for English language arts and math, middle, accelerated, and high reading. And so basically these are the kids that had an F at the end of the third 9 weeks. As you can tell, we have 413 English language arts Fs and 307 math Fs, along with 143 reading Fs. That sort of leads to the need. I also put, there's 2 pages at the back of this PowerPoint that is the full progress monitoring report from iReady. But iReady AP2, all schools have completed that, and that was done December, January. The students that are in the red, level 1, 1 to 2 years behind was what their iReady score said they were in K-8. They're also invited for summer intervention support. So you can take a look. We had 250 kids that were in the real red. We had 193 kids that were in the sort of cautionary red. And this was in reading.
Was the real red, the one with the look like the
Yes,
lines in it?
yes. And
Okay.
if you look, that's 3 or more grades below.
Okay.
So that's that 14%. And you've got a larger report at the back. Math, we did a little bit better on AP2. We had 159 kids, 3 or more grade levels below. We had 151 students that were just 2 grade levels below. So those are the kids that the bulk of them had a bad grade too. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. And I have to thank my team, because instructional leadership at every school helped get information for this presentation. So basically, the data is used to determine the student eligibility for summer. K-8, kids that were failing ELA and or math. And then students scoring level 1 on iReady reading or math. And then students scoring in the yellow, a level 2, were invited. The bulk of them were invited. 9-12, students failing an ELA course or a math content area course. So English 1 through 4, if you're failing that, you're required to come to make up a credit. So that's the difference between high school and K-8. I'm not going to go through what each school has done thus far or plans to do, but each school has already been working since the end of the third 9 weeks, or the midterm of the third 9 weeks, which was actually back in February, making parents aware that grades are not good. We've sent academic alerts. They're notifying parents. Some of them, I think the elementary school, and they're one I'm thinking about, Steenhatchee's done multiple notifications. I think already 93 letters have been returned and confirmed to attend at the elementary school. So quite a few have already started coming back. The acceptance letters that haven't, teachers are calling and checking. Middle school has already sent home letters. They're making phone calls because don't we have fewer than 30 days of school left? So we got to hurry up and get our list together.
Look at all those smiles out there.
Got to hurry up and get our list together. So parents have been notified. High school plans to send certified mail letters home. So to ensure that parents get these, and I think Ms. McCoy wants to make real sure who she's requiring to come. So she'll be making phone contacts as well. This is still under construction. Deciding promotion placement protocols, because again, we're asking neighboring districts. We're taking a look at what historically has been done, but I just know that we seem to have more students struggling this year due to learning losses. COVID's been tough on everybody. So we're looking at 95% attendance, at least a 2% growth on iReady school score, and successful completion of coursework with at least a C or higher to say that someone's promoted. We've had some parents, though. We've had some parents that have just sort of asked for their kid to be retained. So, we've already had that going on.
If they ask to be retained, just because they ask,
It's a school by school decision. If their grades, if they don't meet the student progression plan, promotion criteria for the district, and they request to be retained, I would assume they would be retained. I hate speaking for all my school leaders.
Most of that are requesting know there's a concern, and a lot of them that are requesting are, at our level, are super young, so they didn't have to start when they started, and a lot of it is they see that there's a deficiency.
Is this from you guys sitting down and having a meeting, or is this from where you sent a letter home and then you got the parent call?
Well, the ones that are requesting retention, at my school, those aren't kids that were invited to summer school. They aren't.
No, I'm not saying summer school. I'm saying when you sent the letters home for the third 9 weeks, did you get phone calls back from parents and those parents was like, well, I want to keep my kid back? Or
I've had a couple of letters come back that say they don't want to go to summer school. They just want to be retained. They haven't called. I've reached out to them and left messages. And when I've gotten letters.
so it didn't come from a meeting?
no, it was.
Yes, yeah.
We did not have a meeting with the parents. Everybody together?
No, when she said that you guys was getting requests from parents for retention, I asked a question, did this come out of a meeting or did this come just by phone call?
Phone call or letter.
Okay, so there wasn't no meeting.
No,
We had one, and it was through a Zoom meeting.
Okay, because doesn't the student progression plan as well as the order said that these will be meetings?
I don't think they stipulated face-to-face meetings. Nothing's been stipulated.
No, not face to face, but it did stipulate that this would be like a conversation with the parent, right?
I mean, when we did our parent engagement night this year, it was conferences with these parents, and we sent academic alerts home with these parents, and they met. But my people that have asked for retention aren't necessarily people we would have retained.
That wasn't the question. The question was when you said that you had people that was requesting retention, I was just asking, did it come from a meeting or did it just come from contact from the parents saying, I want my child retained?
No, they called one and they retained them.
Okay, thank you.
And I think over the course of the half of the year, it's come from a lot of meetings. These schools have had conferences with parents. Yes, they may have been phone conferences. Yes, they may have been Zoom conferences. But we've conferenced with parents. We've networked with parents to make them aware your child's just not meeting expectations.
Mhm.
So I think that herein lies. We all understand that our kids are behind. They missed 25% of the school year last year,
Mhm.
and a lot of them have had difficulties this year being here, as you see from the attendance slide.
Right.
So these parents have been made aware. I think sometimes certified letters and letters help put it in writing, put it in print. But
Right.
these guys have been meeting. I know Mr. Bray's school, they meet and conference with every kid.
Mhm.
I think that most of these schools here, we've been conferencing with the kids that are in trouble using different means. High school's a little bit different in their promotion placement protocol. They're looking for the attendance. I mean, we're talking 16 days. This allows you to miss one of 16 days. Completion of the Apex course, the online course that will be created and modified for summer work, and with a successful completion of a grade C or higher. So we do have some expectations for our students that will be attending. And I put 2052, it was EO02, so I got the wrong numbers in there. There's been too many executive orders and emergency orders for me to keep up with them all lately, but it's EO, and basically we are attempting to catch our kids up, utilize the CARES coronavirus funding for the purpose of getting our kids back on track. As I said, this is going to be a fairly big program. These are the projected numbers of students and teachers that we plan to invite by school and the number of teachers that will be hired upon adequate enrollment. Just because we're projecting this number, as the elementary said, they've sent 235 letters. They already have 93 that have said, yes, we're coming. So we may have to add a teacher there. You know, this is just projection, what we think we've got going on. And so this number could change, but total, I think Ms. Pule asked for 41 teaching positions. We'll figure out where those need to be based upon enrollment. And then attendance. It's not just enrollment. It then becomes your daily attendance. And we check that every day for the first few days. So, again, 16 6-hour student days, breakfast, lunch, transportation. Any questions? Try to make it short and sweet and give you all the information you asked for 2 weeks ago.
When will you know about the enrollment? What deadline did you give them to enroll? Is there a deadline in the letter?
We did not set a deadline yet, but today we talked, we had this
I
conversation.
mean, they could walk in the day it starts.
I'm gonna be making phone calls and I'm gonna probably do it like day
Well,
connect
and we have,
and give them a deadline. That was this morning a conversation, because it's still all under development as the thing says. Because we do have to have a number to know for teachers.
And we have kids that are still in limbo that might be able to make it through. And we'll be touching base with those parents. And if we have some that are added, we will make contact with them and kind of go from there. It's,
But when they leave out,
They'll give us a deadline.
but when they leave out, the day they leave out of this thing, they'll know.
They'll definitely
They'll know. They
I
should
keep
sort of
them
know their
office trying to
teacher,
figure out
yes.
numbers and tell them what they need to actually
Yeah.
pull out a passing grade because they're panicking.
Yeah, I think you'll have a deadline well before then, for the end of school.
I have one question. I know it's okay, you don't have to go back. When we talk about attendance and the 16 days, is that excused or unexcused or a combination of both?
We're just looking for them to be there 95% of the time. We have
So
not,
no
we
matter
have
if it's
not talked
excused
about
or-
excused or unexcused yet. We're hoping they can make a 15-day commitment to come and learn.
Yeah.
You know,
It need to be honest. It need to be unexcused, because if they're already behind, I mean, they don't have all the time in the world. But I mean, I can understand if there's a doctor's note. But the reason why I asked the question I asked far as the parent meeting, because I was reading in the order that it would state that it would come from conversation. So realistically, we know a lot of students have already been behind before COVID-19. And we know that they've gotten even more behind with COVID-19. So I really don't think parents, I'm not going to say all parents, but I don't think most parents understand what behind means. So right now they could be thinking, okay, I'm just retaining my child this year. But then come next year and there's not progress. Okay, your child is already 1, 2, I don't know how many years behind. But if realistically we're looking at kids being behind for a little longer than what we would typically imagine. So the reason why I'm asking for documentation is if they are in kindergarten, first grade right now, and they're saying, okay, I want my kid behind. But then they get in third grade, but they have not got caught up. But then your child has to be retained. And then mom says, well, why is my child being retained? Well, mom, right here, 2021, your child was behind and he never progressed. So third grade is typically a retention year. So recall, he's still catching up from where you requested from him to be behind. So that's why I'm asking, are we documenting this stuff? Because it's not going to be a 1-year thing. Realistically, for a lot of the kids, they may catch up. But realistically, we've seen where kids have fell behind. And we know COVID-19 is going to be an even greater behind. So I'm just asking, when the communication is coming back from parents, we know we lose papers. But is there some type of documentation being made where mom requested for this child to be behind?
each school has created a list of students that they are sending the required letter to,
Mhm.
as well as the invite letter to.
Okay,
And I would assume someone is tracking and monitoring who's returned, who's requested to be retained, and said, okay, I know my kid's behind, let them just stay here in this grade for another year to catch up. So each school has the burden of monitoring who's returned, who they need to make more contacts to, who's requested to stay back, and who said, I'm not coming, and you're not holding my kid back, because, I mean, some parents are saying that too, you know?
Right.
We're hoping the letters, sending them out 6, 7 weeks before school is out, that kids that can get caught up, maybe will take it seriously and
Well, I hope they do, but I just know in the reality, we know it's not gonna be a 1-year thing, and I don't want that child to get older and be ready to move, but academically, they're not ready to move. And they don't realize this is something that started the year before, so that's why I asked that question.
Right, and we've already put into the budget for CARES 2, CRISA, a summer program for 22. So that's already written into that particular budget. So this will be the first year. Next year will be another round.
All right.
Thank you.
Sharon, and it mentioned there'd be breakfast and lunch, but transportation's full transportation, which is another big deal. I mean,
We normally don't do that for summer, and we've never, I don't think there's ever been transportation for high school. No. So this is a lot of firsts.
Okay. All right, thank you for the presentation. Moves us down to the items of interest by the public. Do we have anyone to address the board this evening?
I have an item of interest when you get through with everybody else.
Sorry?
I have an item of interest whenever I'd like to bring something up.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I don't think we have anything.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. First, I want to brag on our website. Mr. Jackson and we're doing a great job.
Yeah.
We have a little button on there that says job applications, and I've noticed where they're all listed and how neat it looks. We're missing a button. And the button that I feel like that we're missing is the purchase, quoting, and bidding button, so that anybody out there can look to see what's procurement we might have, what they could bid on, what they can, those kind of things. But our policy doesn't allow that. Our policy says that we have to go through the Department of Management Services, which is a Florida state thing, which a lot of people are getting away from, and they're doing their own thing like we're doing. And I would like to be able to workshop this and to be able to update our policy so that we can go about doing it the modern way, I guess is a way to say it.
what's that policy number?
9.70, and it's number 3, A, B, and C, and number 12.
Okay, so you're requesting a workshop to look at this. And
Yeah, to change the way we go about, not so much, I know we've been through this on it's not the way we award and that kind of thing, but the way we go about advertising. So
Okay.
it'd be more modern. I think Jack has even talked to Dan about it a little bit, about having that button that you can push that will show. And so anybody, whether they're new to town, whether they're the neighboring county, can go on our website and see what we have.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? I don't have a problem with it at all. Anybody? You okay with that? Okay. We just need,
Can we ask Ashley? If,
I'm just looking up, I was a little confused about, we have to go through the Department of Management Services.
Our policy says that.
Pulled up the policy.
Yeah. It's 9.7, number 12.
Y'all go ahead, we can have a workshop. I was just looking up.
Yeah.
okay,
I just think we need to modernize the way we advertise, is
Right,
what I'm
okay.
saying. Not so much the way we,
well, is there any,
Award, but
do we have a suggested time when we can have this workshop?
well, I was thinking about maybe after school's out, when some of our board meetings are not so busy. Maybe June, the board meeting on June the 15th, is that the 15th?
Mhm.
Yeah. I know y'all will be gone though, won't you? No?
Joanne?
So I was thinking if it shouldn't take long to do, to just update the little wording in there.
that is the date. Is ours the week before?
What date was, Bonnie?
She said,
That's
the 9th, okay.
Yeah, June the 15th is
Oh, no,
our,
we'll be back.
because I noticed there was some kind of conflict on the one June 1st that we were, but June 15th is what I was thinking. If we could just
So June the 15th.
Just stay afterwards for a few minutes and
Okay.
just update that wording so that, and I don't know how many of you ever, probably none of you do, but anyway, on Swanee River Water Management District, you can go in there and you can say, okay, I want to get notified that you have a bid out there or you have some work that I want to do. And you can put in your phone number and they'll even text you or whatever. And I think we need to modernize our system to that caliber is what I'm thinking.
Okay.
That's like probably some third, just putting it out there, that's probably some third-party software.
Nope.
That would manage that. Like Jack's not gonna be able to do that from the website.
It's just like your little job button.
Actually,
He can do it.
Ms. Bashir, I sat in a meeting with our website company, and they do have an availability that we're starting to look at where we can set up for some type of notifications, and we'd have to check with them to see if that's something that might be able to be built into.
Right, but it's still something to be added in, it's not just a button, like there's gonna be something you've gotta add in, where it queries. Somebody's gonna have to go in and enter and say this.
Well,
is what
you've
we have
already
available.
probably-
Some query would have to go in and say, and match with all these people that have signed up
You
for
probably.
this particular service.
You probably have it already in there and just don't realize it because you have a lot of matching with query and search engines already built into that website.
Okay, is June the 15th okay then? We'll put
I'm
that.
not worried about the details. I'm just trying to worry about getting it, the wording in our policy where we are allowed to do it that way.
All right, everybody good with the 15th of June? Okay, we'll be sure we get that there. Okay, we'll move on. All of our consent items was approved by the adoption of the agenda, except for the ones that we pulled. And now we will go to 9.02, number one, which was dealing with the Girls and Boys Club. And we have our director here to answer any questions that we may have. So come on up and Emily and
Emily Kettering, the Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club of North Central Florida. And I believe Dr. Glover mentioned at your last meeting, that we were requesting to move our teen facility to the Taylor Alternative School, use one of the wings. Coach Harvey was very gracious. And just wanting to know if anyone had any questions, I just want to be available to answer any that you may have.
I think I asked them before the meeting.
Well, I just asked about this tonight because I thought when we discussed it, we was looking at doing a lease versus a facility request. So that was my question I had tonight.
We can look at that. Somebody spoke with Emily about, but I mean, if we do that, we need to probably look at like all three facilities at one time, include Shady Grove and Steenhatchee. This is what we have done in the past for those other two, so we're just keeping it consistent. And then possibly this summer, if we want to sit down and I think we've got some, you may already have some draft examples Ms. Ball was going to provide that we could look at.
You're not under a lease agreement with the Steenhatchee now, are you?
We're not under a
Okay.
lease agreement with any of them at this point.
Okay, so this would, yep, okay.
anything else?
So do you know how long it's going to take for a new location?
At this point, we don't, and I don't know, what information you had beforehand, but for our teen center, one of the buildings with the 2 classrooms that we utilize for that facility is having some structural issues. We went to put a new roof on, and then the engineer said, that's a no-go. So at this point, we're looking to relocate due to safety first before we even go to that step. I'm only a few weeks into finding out that building is going to, be condemned essentially. So no, I don't have a time frame.
Okay. Because I know after the meeting, I asked Angela, was there concern for just facilities or a lease? And Angela said that she was suggesting a lease. So that's why I was asking that question.
Yeah, she was going to get a lease agreement and we were going to look at like all three of them.
Okay.
So I just haven't got that yet.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'd be happy to do that and whatever else the board needs.
I think I can speak for all the administrators that what Emily does for the club definitely is a huge help for us, and anything we ever know. I mean, she's very good to us. I think it's gonna be a very good partnership with Taz and the resources that they're gonna have available to let us use. So we really appreciate everything the club does for us.
Her kids are our kids.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
But it sounds like you're kind of in a hurry that you need to do this. as soon
We're
as
hoping to move by the summer, just like I said, due to the safety concerns of the facility. If you all are agreeable to that, that was what we were hoping to do.
possible. You're talking 70 students.
On average, actually, it's less than that due to COVID. But when you asked, I wanted to talk about like the typical number. Yeah.
I don't have a problem with, I mean, my question tonight was not to prevent us from allowing them to use the building. So I want to make that clear. I actively support the Boys and Girls Club. So I have no problem with that. I just, like I said, I wanted more clarity on where we were going with whether it would be a lease or not. And I don't think that question, Angela bringing anything to the board will hold up us approving tonight for them to utilize this space.
I would think that we would need to
Yeah, I would say move ahead.
move ahead. So I
That's
would
what I'm
make a motion.
saying. I don't have a problem with moving ahead. I don't think Angela bringing something to us going to prevent that tonight from happening.
I second
Okay.
Brenda's motion.
Anything else? Do we need a motion on this? Okay, a motion
I
then.
think we do.
This was a consent. Okay, Ms. Carlton makes the motion, Ms. Mathis seconds it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, so carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For everything you do.
All right, and this brings us back now to item 8.01, number 3. It was pulled for some questioning, and so Ms. Valentine, would you like that? I think this is dealing with you, and would you like to? I think we got some questions. Come on up.
Come on down.
I don't have it in front of me, so just.
I just wanted a general understanding. I didn't really have a time to review it as I would have liked it. And I had meant to call you earlier, but I got sidetracked. So.
This actually was supposed to be implemented this past fiscal year, this new GASB 87 accounting, which I have my own opinions on the accounting for this, just so I won't get into, is this a legitimate thing that we should be reporting? My opinion is no, because it doesn't really mean anything in, like I say, in my opinion, but it's just something else that's going to cost the district's time and money. So now they want, and it's very in depth. I haven't had a lot of time. I've talked to some other districts about what solutions they're going to use. So basically, these actuaries sit around and they say, you need to report now. They're considering copier leases, or any leases for that matter, postage machines, dumpster leases. They're now saying that that is a liability that you have to report on your government-wide financial statements. Mm-hmm. And there's a ton of entries that go into that. And so on average, we have about 100 leases that we would have to account for between all of our copiers and all of our dumpsters. And so this company is one of the first companies to jump out there and come up with a very easy solution where we can enter the data and they generate all the lease accounting entries. They do all the tracking. They give you all the journals, there's statements that you have to publish in your annual financial report, all related to these copier leases. And so I reached out to a few other districts to see what their solutions were going to be, because I thought, well, maybe I can do it in Excel, set it up and do it that way. And then once we really started looking into what is required of this accounting and this reporting, they were like, it's just far too much to try to do with everything else that we have to do. And so this company, Suwannee County has already approved a contract with this company. I believe Duval is about to approve. I spoke with the Wakulla finance director. They're going to also go with this company. And so it is, I kind of cringed when they told me how much it was, but we don't really have any other choice but to do it. So it's to help with this new lease accounting requirement. And so due to COVID and another one of the COVID delays, we were supposed to report this last year, but they put a hold on it. And so it starts reporting next fiscal year.
Is this something that you're going to have to, these people are going to have to help us every year?
Yeah, they'll keep up with it every year
This is
unless
a-
somebody comes up with a cheaper
Are they
solution.
giving us any funds for this since they're requiring
No.
it?
No,
So how are we gonna pay for it?
it's general fund dollars that'll pay
So
for
is
it.
this something we would have to put a bid out for or no?
No.
Okay.
And they're the only company that does it right now.
But once you get it set up with them, it's kind of like just.
Well, and it's an
Be
ad.
cheaper once it's set up?
Possible. Yeah, there's some initial setup fee and then the yearly fee is $8,400. Yeah. But they're the only ones that do it. Like I say, and I've reached out to some other districts, some large districts, some small districts, and they're all going with this. So, I mean, as it gets out there, there'll probably be other companies that come up with solutions and it'll be a little more competitive because this is just a 1-year agreement. So just like, anything. So, and it's below the threshold, but we had to bring it because it is a contract. So, but that's what it is. Not something I necessarily want to do, but we have to do it.
Well, that was my only question.
Thank you.
The motion to
All right, Ms.
approve.
Carter makes the motion that we approve it. Ms. Mathis seconds it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. Now this brings us to item 12.13, establishment of positions. These are action items. Ms. Brandon, principal of Taylor County Primary School, is requesting to create 1 teacher and 10 teacher aide positions for the summer school this 2021 year. These will be filled upon student enrollment and teacher aide positions up to 300 hours, teacher positions up to 300 hours. Summer school is from June the 2nd through July the 27th. So what's the care of the board?
Ms. Brandon, do you know how many kids so far that you plan on having for summer school?
Well, we just started registration at the beginning of April. So we're sitting at around 50 right now.
And is this summer school for K through 2nd?
No, this is only for the preschool. So I have to have VPK program, which is why I have to have the teacher. It has to be a certified teacher in the summertime for the VPK hours. And then we have to have at least 11 of those. And then the rest of the positions, a lot of people have really been asking for summer care. And what usually happens at the end of the school year is they move their kids from our school and put them in daycares. And so then they move them back. So what we're trying to do is be able to leave them and continue that through the summer to help with hopefully kindergarten readiness in the fall, as well as keeping our kids with us through the summer for as long as possible.
And what fund would this come from? General fund?
They would pay. It would be a self-sustaining, like she has to get enough students to cover the cost of the teachers and the aides.
Okay.
What would the charges be?
So it's just like we do now. It's $20 per day for 2 and up. If I can get a teacher degree to do infants, we might try, but that's
But based off
Hard.
that funding, that's gonna pay for a teacher and for aide?
VPK pays for the teacher.
Okay,
It all pays out.
okay. I
Okay.
motion then.
We have a motion, Ms. Donnell makes the motion. We have a second. Ms. Carlton seconds it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. Item number 2, Ms. Hathcock is requesting the establishment of a grant coordinator position, 8 hours, 12 months, funded through CARES ESSER 2 grant funds for the duration of the CARES grant cycle. And this position will end when the final CARES expires. All right, Ms. Carlton makes the motion. Ms. Mathis seconds it. All in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. Item 12.15 is the job description for the grant coordinator position. All right, Ms. Mathis makes the motion. Ms. Agner seconds it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, so carried. Item 12.19, Ms. Bethay, principal of the elementary school, is requesting to reinstate data entry position 00417332 from an 8-hour 11th month to an 8-hour 12-month position starting in the 2020-21-22 school year.
I have a question on that. Are the data entries at all schools 12 months?
Middle and high school it is, yes.
Middle school just changed the beginning of this year.
I mean, we need that.
That's why
Where the
they
money
love
come-
their scheduling.
So where the money come from? Ashley?
That would be general fund.
General fund.
It's a lot coming from the general fund. That's why I'm asking, because I mean, that's gonna be recurring funding. That's not gonna be a 1 year.
We typically been giving those positions extra hours. So. the
I
only-
understand
the only
that,
thing is
but-
General fund, so the only thing that's gonna change now is we're not gonna then request the extra hours that she's gonna earn annually for that time.
Right, I understand that,
But
but,
it's general.
right,
balance.
but over the years, we've,
Well, we've been back and forth on those positions.
right, but over the years, we've had a lot of positions going from 11 months to 12 months, so
These have been 12 historically, then they've been cut to 11, then they've been put back to 12. This is probably like the third time this has been back and forth.
So how many schools now do we have the 12-month reinstated for data entry?
They would all be except for Steve Hatchie and Kelly's school.
Just being honest.
So if they're going from back to forth, is there, I mean, if it's going back and forth, is there really a need for it though?
Yes, I was.
Yes, there needs to be.
So the problem runs into, if they work in June, then they're just tying up summer school, and then there's nobody there in July to do scheduling. If they work in July, they're there in, to do next year's scheduling, but there's nobody there to schedule for summer school schedule.
Well, I thought y'all do the scheduling for summer
We
school.
don't put it in focus.
In data entry, she has to enter every single class, 7 periods for 650 kids. And she struggles to get it done with the extra hours in that month. It's very difficult. It's a lot of entry, and you have to build every single child's schedule. So it's very difficult, and that's just a piece of what she does during that month.
Ms. Carlton, you make the motion.
So I make the motion.
Well, Ms. Carlton made the
I
motion.
made second then.
Okay. All in favor for this, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Aye, so carried. And this brings us down to the items of interest by the superintendent and board. Dr. Glover, do you have anything at this time?
One thing I wanted to mention was, I think I emailed y'all the June 2nd board meeting, that first meeting in June. I emailed you that mentioned to you that we'll all be out. So if we want to look at having that board meeting or rescheduling it, we just probably need to go ahead and make a decision about that, because it's not that far off. So
Well,
still a little way.
When
If
does summer
everybody-
school start?
You said June 2nd?
But if everybody's
So-
out,
Everybody's out, but summer school starting on June 2nd? So who
7.
running?
7.
Okay, so again, everybody's out, but summer school start a week later.
I want to
Have
know,
all
but
of our
somebody
board
should be in
decisions made
charge.
well ahead of that.
Y'all saying everybody's gonna be out on June 2nd, but summer school start 5 days later?
Everything will be ready prior to June 2nd.
Plus, each school's gonna have a summer school coordinator, like we've always done for summer reading camp.
So everybody's not gonna be out.
So those school summer intervention program coordinators will be here and be working.
He's talking about the administrators.
Yeah, there'll still be people at school.
Okay.
So technically, who will be in charge for the district? Who'd I hear me? Shanna?
Shanna and Dan, and then we're only a phone call away.
So do you think that we could skip that meeting and just have our meeting on the 15th? We have 2 more Thursdays following that in the month, so if we needed to make up or do anything.
Thursdays.
I mean, Tuesdays.
I have a question with the skipping of the meetings, because we keep skipping meetings, and then when we come back, we have a loaded agenda. So, I mean, I'm not in favor of skipping a meeting. I would prefer we just reschedule the meeting.
Well, you're all going to be gone the 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Yes,
So you can't do it then. We've got one on the 15th. So either you have the.
we can't do it on the first?
It's not possible to have it the first 2 Tuesdays. We too, the board also have.
Let's just a second. July, routinely, we do not do the July the 6th. Is that right?
It
is, and the meeting that's at the beginning of July is so important for all of us because a lot of the purchases, so if you want to reschedule toward the end of June, that would give us enough time to get all of our contracting and procurement and all of those things hopefully ready, and maybe be able to get our contracts approved and our purchase order request made.
June 20, how about, yeah, 29th, that'd be two.
Just move the 1st to the 29th.
That'd be great for us.
But wait, but back to my original question, I think we're not meeting the first week in
Right, we
Right.
traditionally do
We
that.
I haven't made, I'm working on it. That'll be on the next.
Okay.
Usually toward the end of July, we end up meeting every 2 weeks.
Well, we'll get, actually, I have,
I said that to Shana, it looks like it's gonna be the last 2 weeks in July. I
Okay.
think that's what I said.
for budget.
I don't want to cancel it. I'm fine with us moving it because we have these loaded agendas. Y'all already don't want to be there and I have questions. I'm gonna ask my questions.
So our June meetings will be on Tuesday, June the 15th and Tuesday, June the 29th
Mhm.
at 5:45.
Mhm.
No time changes.
So just adding June 29th.
Right.
Canceling the 1st and adding 29th.
Everybody good with that date? Okay. All righty.
Just, I think y'all got the calendars, and I think the administrator's done a really good job of trying to get everything on the calendars as quickly as they can, keep everyone updated. So I appreciate all the hard work with that.
Dr. Glover, can I speak to the calendar for 1 second? Because someone asked me about our awards banquet on the 20th, where we have that, parents aren't invited. Because last year we did a big event for 300 people, but you all are welcome to come that day if you'd like. We just, because of COVID, we're trying to keep our numbers down a little bit instead of inviting everybody they ever wanted to come. So just to clarify, you all are all welcome to come that day.
Okay, thank you. Is that it? Okay,
I asked for one, yeah.
Did we get one?
Ms. Ball, do you have anything?
I do not, thank you.
Okay. All right, Ms. Donnell.
Yes, I did have another question. I didn't get asked a question earlier. Currently right now, is there any tutoring going on right now?
Yes.
Okay, and like what tutoring is going on right now?
So for which school?
Just tutoring in general.
So we have Title I, we have after school for math and reading on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We also have a science club that's going on, but the tutoring Title I is Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Fourth grade at our school, the teachers are volunteering out of their own time for like an FSA prep. Ms. Crowther is doing FSA math minion prep out of the kindness of her heart. We have lots.
So are the students that's tutoring now, are these gonna be the same students that y'all are anticipating for summer school?
Some of them
Okay.
are, some of them don't.
Okay, all right, that was my question with
We
that.
also have kindergarten after school Rising K. We're serving like 30 or 40 kids with some CARES funding that are kindergartners that are in trouble. We've got some Title IX,
Mhm.
which is our McKinney-Vento federal program. We have a program going at the middle school, supporting some of those students, and a program going at the elementary school. Mr. Brain has multiple programs going in his school. So he has Rising K, he has a Title I after school, he has a Title IV STEM after school, and then a TISA UNICEF grant.
4-5 ELA.
4-5 ELA.
Is that traditional tutoring or is this because of CARES? That's something we was doing before?
Well, CARES, Rising K
Uh-huh,
is,
it's new, but everything else is what we've been doing.
but we're
Okay, all
serving
right.
a bunch of kids right now.
Okay. And summer school, I know you said last meeting, and I know you said again this meeting, but if we do have that parent that wants their child to come to summer school, that will be an option, right?
Yes, I've had several requests.
And I'm not just saying like ones and twos, I'm just saying like if a parent feel their child didn't do well this year and they wanted them to come, I just want to ask that question.
Yes, we've already had them, we've already put them on the list.
Okay, and how are y'all advertising that? Or is it just on a case-by-case basis based off that parent expressing concern?
I believe it's on dates, but Dojo and possibly Facebook, but I'm not sure, but Dojo.
Okay, all right,
Because we wanted the parents to know that their kid was possibly getting a letter too.
Okay. okay,
That's why we're
Okay.
gonna also make contact with the letters. If we don't get that, we'll personally call the parents to
Okay.
make sure that they do have that information.
okay.
That they know that their kid is gonna be retained if they don't let us.
Okay, and I just wanted to highlight with everything that has happened this year, and again, a lot of stuff happened before now, but it's like a lot of it is just really in your face now because of COVID-19. So realistically, we know, I don't know, I guess because I'm aware of this, I guess I'm just thinking everybody know this, but I've worked in social services. And for me working in social services, we have we kind of got a rather high uneducated population here in this county. It's nothing new. If you worked in social services or you worked in the schools, you should know that. A lot of families, realistically, we would want them to be able to support their students. But the reality of it is we know that's not every home. So I guess my concern when I expressed the questions about the documentation and about contact, realistically, we would like to pick up the phone. We would like to meet with everybody. And this is outside of COVID-19 because, again, that's where you have the opportunity to really do the work that needs to be done and form partnerships and relationships. But we know things are very different now with COVID-19. If you couldn't reach a parent before, chances are you're not being able to reach them now. If the child was absent before, chances are they truly absent now. And just this year alone, we're dealing with stuff that we've already dealt with it, but it's like an even greater concern now. So the reason why I'm expressing concern for documentation is because if it's not documented, it didn't happen. And realistically, like what was in the newspaper on Friday, about 1 in 3 students may miss their opportunity. I know the legislation has made some, they've made some type of stipulations to put things in place. I know each school district throughout the state of Florida is making different stipulations to put things in place. But reality is kids don't just get behind. This is something that has been stemming. So like I know for me, since I've been a board member, even when we was reviewing discipline cases that came to us, I know me, when I got that packet, there was always information in there regarding that student academically. And I myself seen that students were behind. I seen that they not only had a lot going on, but they had needs for services. And whatever happened with the breakdown in communication, a lot of that was because this student was a struggling student. So I'm just wanting to make sure that if we've seen it no other time, and I'm pretty sure everybody in this room have seen it, so that's just an overstatement. But this year alone has shown us the needs in our community. This year alone has shown the needs in our schools. So I'm just asking that, we just make sure we're doing everything we can from a school perspective and making sure that parents are aware to what's available in the schools and what opportunity is there. We did virtual just like any other county. We seen how we seen what worked, we seen what could have worked better. But again, we're a community of learners. Our goal is to get these kids in and to get them across the stage in a certain amount of time. And I think if we make sure we're doing everything we can to ensure that happen, we could prevent, things that have happened before us. When I went to school, I thought I had everything I needed. I was an honor student. I thought I had everything I needed till I got to college and realized I was not properly prepared for college. And I'm still hearing stories like that today with current graduates. So I just want to make sure we're doing everything we can on this end to work with students and to work with families and to make sure that we're having kids from our end, what we can do, ready for that next step, whether it's going to be go to technical school or whether it's going to go to college or whatever they choose to do. But I just know this year alone has shown need like never before. And there is a lot of stuff that's going on. And when these kids come to school, If they can pay attention, they pay attention. If they can't, can't. A lot of it is outside of that student's capabilities. It falls on the parent. But if we don't have contact with that parent, if we don't have relationship with that parent, that's just another child that's falling into the cracks. That's just another child that's getting put behind. And to the reality of it is if that parent was where it needed to be, that might not happen. But even with parents that are where they need to be, kids are falling behind. So I just wanted to put that out there on everybody's heart. God said to do, multiply, replenish the earth. And I don't think he intended no one to be ignorant. I don't think he intended no one to walk without knowledge. But knowledge is going to come from these kids having a stable foundation in education. I've always felt like as long as a child had what they need academically, they would be able to succeed in life. But I'm learning that even more they need to be what they need to have spiritually. But even to be what they need to be spiritually, they got to be able to read. They got to be able to function. They got to be able to come to school and to be able to get a solid education. We can't do it all. But if we do what we're here to do, then I definitely think we will help the next child to get forward. So I just wanted to express that concern because I don't buy the newspaper, but I was really, my weekend was just all over the place when I did choose to look at the newspaper, and that's what's on the front of the newspaper. And as a board member, nothing had came to the board that this was a concern. So it just, I'm not blaming anyone, but as a board member, I really would like to know before I have to read it in public so I can have a better understanding of where we at as a district with making sure we're doing what we're here to do. So
Thank
that's
you.
my concern.
All right, thank you, Ms. Agner.
Yeah, we got 20 more days of school. Is that what? 28. Okay, this is the time for parents to contact their teachers to see where their children are standing. This is the time, if your phone number changes or your address changes, please contact your school and update your child's records. Lack of communication goes both ways. Where it's a very important, you can't sit back and expect teachers to do everything. We've got to have communication on both ways. And I appreciate all our administrators and our teachers and our SROs, all of these people that put everything together that make it work for our children. None of this takes us by surprise. We knew it was going to come. We knew it was going to be bad. We knew we had some gaps and we didn't know, and there's no way to tell till we got to this point. So now we're here. And the best thing we can do is deal with it and go forward. And like we said, we've got this summer, we've got next summer. We're not just going to do it, catch everybody up in 16 days.
No,
It's going to be a process. So if parents will work with the teachers all through the next year, not just during summer school, I think we'll be further ahead. But again, we've got a lot coming up, graduation, awards, and I just, our Big Bend Technical College, I was so impressed the other night with the open house. They are, if you lack anything and you want to find out how to do anything, you need to go to Big Bend Technical and get a trade, and then you can put yourself through college.
Our administrators, we had an activity out there the other day, and they actually got to tour. And they learned a lot.
There's a lot out there.
It was really cool.
It was really cool.
Did y'all sign up for anything?
I wanted to.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Well, and
massage.
there's a lot, and we talk about academic behindness, but you tell you what, you can go to the technical school and you can start and you can finish with a trade at a technical college. And I'm a product of the technical college because I did not go to college, but I probably do very well compared to most people that did go to college. So I'm telling you, a trade is a good thing to have. And a lot of kids can use it to go on to college, or I say, you ask 90% of the kids that graduate, and you say, what do you want to do? I don't know. How many times do they change their major? And because they've never been in the real world yet, so they don't know what they like and what they don't like. So to me, Big Bend Technical is a great way to start. Then go on to college once you figure out and you've worked a little bit. But other than that, I'm shut up about that. But anyway, appreciate everybody.
All right, thank
At
you.
least 3 times, and it costs a lot of money every time they change their major.
Yeah, you know about that, huh?
Matthews.
I agree with Bonnie Sue too. I was at the open house, and the amazing thing about industry certifications, and especially for high school students, is all the data shows that it increases student attendance, and those students have better grades, they have better attendance. They want to be at school more when they're involved in those programs. It gives them a goal aside from just the day-to-day work. So it is a huge plus, and without a doubt, BBTC is such an amazing feather in our cap, because so many districts do not have the gift of that for their students or for their people in their community, the young people. So I've got to say that Bonnie Sue's absolutely right about everything and she said, and it's amazing. And I really enjoyed the open house, the tour, and it does make you want to take a class. It really does when you get to go there.
Did we get a scholarship too?
And I love about updating our website for procurement anytime we fall behind in our policies, and it's so easy to do because it's so extensive that when we can bring antiquated policies up to date, then that's something we need to do, and we need to do the best we can to keep up with the changing technical world. And really happy that we could help the Boys and Girls Club. Anytime we get a chance to do that, it is, also on here was the rec with Steenhatchee for our Girls and Boys Club to play their T-ball teams and their games. And I see them out there, and it's like the whole community turns out because, it's that link between our students being at school and being in Boys and Girls Club and that positive atmosphere. For them and for the community is just another thing that is a feather in our cap. So whatever we can do to keep those programs going and keep that link together. Those students are also, Jimmy's sitting over there and we were talking about tutors. I think that he tutors a couple of days a week at Boys and Girls Club himself. So, I believe you do, Jimmy, don't you? You do, yeah. So he's actually one of the tutors that we have. We appreciate you very much for that. I know that they do. And being able to give our data entry people back their 12 months is something that I know that they've all been looking forward to. So I'm glad we've been able to do that for the ones, and hopefully we can do that for the other schools that need that as well. And also, I want to brag for a minute about two things. The middle school's FFA program, because I went to their inaugural parent member banquet, and those kids worked so hard, and the teacher and the parents and the community members that pulled together. It was just so amazing to see all the work and all they've accomplished. It was, if you have a chance to get involved with the program, they actually have an alumni program, and you don't have to be an alumni to be a member of it. So it's a wonderful, wonderful program. And the other thing is, for Heather, what is our TCHS girls softball team? What is their record now? I don't think they've lost a game.
They have.
They have?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't you
You're
go
not
again,
allowed to
Rachel.
Hold on. We're 15 and 6.
15 and 6, but they are so good.
Get after
They are,
Got a game tonight.
Yeah.
and young. A lot of those players are young too. Would be JV, and they're varsity, and they're just rolling over people like the girls soccer, as well. They just rolled with it. So really proud of them. And I think that's me for tonight.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Carlton.
Yeah, I don't want to reiterate everything, but I do appreciate the comments. I do appreciate all of our staff, and it takes everybody. It's just, from the like you say, when you put them on the bus, they go home at night. Every teacher, administrator, lunchroom worker that touches the lives of our children, they're just all important. It was exciting for me this morning to drive by and see another portable being loaded up on a trailer sitting out there just ready to go. So, I'm sorry, they took the fence down?
I ran over
By the
the,
bridge.
Oh, well, I didn't notice that. I just noticed it was out there loaded up, ready to go. But I guess we're making progress. We've just got a couple more to go. 2 more to go. Okay, that's good. That's good. Oh, and it will be nice to see all that that property vacated. Anyway, last week I was able to go to the Fisbit renewal, and we were able to complete our property and casual renewal. So Ashley will be seeing those invoices and all coming through before long, and we're not sure exactly what the cyber is going to end up at. That's been a biggie. And if you looked at the news today, there was another comment on, I think, down around in Fort Lauderdale where they had an issue going on with the cyber. But our property looks like somewhere around 16%, which was a lot better than what we anticipated on the renewal. And other than that, like I say, it's going to be, won't be long before we're in graduation. And then, like you say, won't be long before we're in summer school. So, and then we'll be back in the clockwork to start all over again. That's all.
Okay, well, thank you. In closing tonight, just thank everybody for coming, all the hard work. I know we've seen in the papers the same things that we've talked about tonight about where our students is at, how many's, kind of behind and so forth. And I know that that seems negative, and it is negative, but it's the reality of where we're at. It's the reality of what we've been through this past year, the on and off school, the different kinds of ways that we've tried to do school. But I don't want people to get discouraged. I think that we've got a good plan for this summer. It's available for our parents, for our students. I think there'll be a lot of good accomplished this summer. And one thing about it, we're not the only one in this boat. In fact, everybody's in this boat. And I think probably, I'll be honest with you, even though we do have X amount of number of students that are behind, that our kids may be further ahead than what we think in a lot of districts where that and so anyway, let's don't get discouraged. Let's just work hard and expect good things. I know good things will come from that. With that said, do I have a motion second that we
Got a
adjourn?
quick question. Ms. Denchen, she wasn't scheduled to come back tonight, Ms. Denchman?
The last meeting, what the consensus of the board was to form the committee. She did meet with Ms. Pule, and I think y'all got another meeting coming up, was to meet with Ms. Pule, form the committee, and then she was going to come back and report to the board.
Okay.
I motion by Ms. Carlton, second by Ms. Mathis, that we adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So carried.